Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, Proper Handling, Maneuvering, and Cutting Options of Large Format Tiles. I'm Jim Olson with the National Tile Contractors Association, and I want to thank you and welcome you all for taking time out of your busy schedule to attend today's webinar sponsored by Rubi Tools. Before I introduce today's speaker, I want to remind you that during the webinar, you will be muted. Please use the questions area on your computer to type in your questions. We will answer your questions at the end of this presentation. If the audio on your computer is poor, call the number on the invite to this webinar and listen on your phone. All NTCA webinars are available to watch at any time on the NTCA YouTube channel shortly after the webinars are presented, giving you easier access to watch and or share all current and past programs at your convenience. I'm happy to introduce today's speaker, Hector Martinez. He's been in the business for 18 years with Rubi for the past 4.5, almost 5 years, as the technical manager product trainer. Martinez worked specifically with slab porcelain gauge materials for the last 2.5 years, helping Rubi Tools launch the Slab system. Martinez has traveled internationally, presenting and demonstrating tools in Mexico and Spain. And today he has Juan Arante assisting him with his presentation and helping answer questions at the end. So please don't hesitate to put your questions in the chat screen. All right, guys, let's have a great show. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Jim. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started here. All right, as Jim mentioned, my name is Hector. I'm with Rubi. I've been with us with Rubi for 5 years. While the home office is based in Barcelona and the U.S. office is based in Miami, I am based in Chicago, but I do handle the whole U.S. And my colleague Juan Arante is he's in charge of national sales, and like Jim said, he'll be taking and questions in the chat. So with that, we'll get started. Here we got a video showing who Rubi is and what we're about. Okay. Did that stop my share? Okay.
You're good to go, Hector.
I just said I got a weird message. All right, so for those of you that don't know Rubi or aren't familiar with Rubi, we are, okay, what is it doing? Sorry, technical difficulties, what, I don't understand. For those of you who aren't familiar with Rubi, we are based in Barcelona, Spain. The company was founded by the Boal brothers in a little town called Rubi, outside of Barcelona. We basically manufacture everything out of our plant in Barcelona. We're celebrating our 70th year. We are the leaders in tool manufacturing, and we are on the cutting edge with the new stuff that keeps coming out, whether it's slab in this case, or whether it's pavers, 2-centimeter pavers. We got tools for everything that you need to cut and install your tiles. Okay, so with that said, let's get into talking about the slab tools. What are the sizes and thicknesses of the slab? Well, we got slab sizes that go 3 to 4 millimeter, 5 to 6 to 8 millimeter range, also 10 millimeter and 12 millimeters, and they do supersede that. But now you're getting into fabrication. We do have different sizes of in terms of length. We got 5 feet by 10 feet. We got 4 feet by 8 feet. I mean, you got 48 inch by 48 inch considered slab tiles. So it's a wide variety and ranging of material. Now, what is it used for? Well, here we have pictures outside. Outside of buildings, using as on the facade of the building. These you would use your heavier 10 mil, 8 mil, 10 mil porcelain pieces. On the inside, you have 3 to 4 for furniture or for furniture cladding, or you can use it on the wall. 6 to 8 millimeters for the floor, and we got 12 millimeters for your countertop. Okay, a lot of companies that make this slab, they make the same material, the same style and color, and they have each different sizes, so you can match up your interior just like it is in this picture. It all looks the same, but they are different sizes, and we're going to need different sizes for the wall cladding, or for the, you can't use a 3 millimeter on the floor because you'll break the porcelain, you'll puncture through it. So how do we manipulate, how do we cut down, and how do we install? Well, Rubi makes a full line of product called the Rubi Slab System. First off, we'll ask the question, how did the materials get to the job site? Okay, they either come in a horizontal in the wooden crate, or they come vertical in the special A-frame easel. Okay, no matter how it comes, we got to get it to a rigid and supported table in order to cut and manipulate this tile. The first way we can do this is we can use our Slim Easy Trans. It comes with two extendable and adjustable guides holding 5 suction pads each. You can hold 132 pounds with them. The suction pads do have the special ring for rough groove and textured tile. You could also add the crossbars, giving it better rigidity and load capacity. It could also make it compatible with our Slab Trolley, which we'll get to later. Now, these go from just over a meter, 39 inches, and extend up to over 10 feet, depending on the size of the piece of slab that you're carrying. If you have something that it weighs more than 132 pounds, we have the Slab Trans Heavy Duty, which holds up to 310 pounds. Same thing, you go over just over 3 feet, and we'll extend these out to over the 10 feet. Now, with the Slab Trans Heavy Duty, you get 6 vacuum suction cups, which is good for the rough and rigid tile. You also do get the crossbars that come with the Slab Trans. You don't have to get a separate pair. And with the Slab Trans Heavy Duty, you got handles that are adjustable. If you see down below on the bottom right, you see position 8.1 and 8.2. It's whatever's more comfortable and convenient for you to position these the handlebars. I personally prefer position 8.2, like is shown in the picture above. But again, it's dealer's choice. You can use either way. There's no wrong way. This is showing position A and B. You can slide these handlebars into the Slab Trans itself. Because when you do, let's say you're going to install a full piece 4x8 or 5x10, and you're going to go vertically up a wall. You can install your 4x8 or 5x10 going up on a wall with this Slab Trans Heavy Duty. Now, you see the rubber bumper on the edge of the Heavy Duty. This is what's going to touch the floor. And when you set your porcelain piece, and you wanted to adjust it on the floor, you're gonna measure about 3/8 of an inch in from that bumper. So when you go to install your tile, it's not gonna scratch the floor, because if it touches the floor, it's gonna break. So we gotta make sure that we're 3/8 of an inch, our material is 3/8 of an inch in from that bumper. Once we have it positioned, we can actually take it to the wall, and we can stand it up with the bumpers taken and touching the floor, and our material suspended. We can actually install it vertically by just lifting it up. You're gonna need more than one person, as shown in this picture. Typically, it takes about 3 to 4 people. You're always going to have one person kind of navigating, like an air traffic controller, like an on-the-ground air traffic controller. You know, a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left. All right, that's perfect. We're going to go in and set it in. Here's a little bit more about the vacuum suction cups. You can add more suction cups to the Slab Trans Heavy Duty. Just keep in mind that you will not be able to increase the payload capacity. So it does hold 310 pounds, but each individual suction cup does hold 242 pounds. And if you do the math, it doesn't add up. 242 times 6 with the maximum payload 310 doesn't add up. Well, because what's giving us the payload capacity is not the suction cups, but instead the rigidity of the frame. The frame can hold itself, can only hold 310 pounds. But you can always add more to feel more secure and safe to your Slab Trans Heavy Duty. Now, how do we get suction with our suction cups onto our material? Well, you'll notice on the left part of the suction cup, you will see a red line. That's a red line indicator. We'll pump it. You know, for those who are old enough to remember the Reebok pumps, we'll pump it just like that until that red line disappears. Once that red line disappears, we know we have a good suction. Okay. On the opposite side, there's another button to press where you push it and it'll release the air. And if the air doesn't release or it's still stuck down to the bottom right of the suction cup, you'll notice a pull tab. You'll pull that tab and it will release the suction cup from your material. We also have singles. So if you're working by 48 by 48, all you would need is 2, because I mean it could lift up one piece, but it's kind of awkward with a 48 by 48 unless you're Captain America holding up his shield. But I would recommend 2 for 48 by 48s. That way you can transport it, you can install, you don't have to struggle. It makes life a little bit easier. The Slab Trolley. The Slab Trolley is ideal for moving the panels from point A to point B. Point A being the truck that it came in or the wood pallet that it came in. You can use a Slab Trans Heavy Duty to grab the piece, pull it up, and then you can lock it into our Slab Trolley, and then one person can move this from point A to point B. Point B being our working station. You could also back butter while it sits on there. Back buttering is very important in our industry, especially when we're working in a large format, especially true with GPTP. We must back butter. You can do so on our Slab Trolley. And you can lock it into place. And if you're installing on the floor, full slab on the floor, the trolley doesn't weigh very much. So once it's locked into place and you're going to install a giant piece on the floor, all you simply do is you have 2 guys pick up the piece and another guy directing you where to install, you know, again, a little to the left or a little to the right. But you can lift it up with the trolley because it doesn't weigh much, and you can actually install on the floor with the whole system intact. Another product we have here is the Slab AFrame cart. This is brand new from Rubi. We just launched this. The reason for this cart is so you can hold your slabs. Let's say you're at a workstation, you don't have a place to really put them. You don't have space on the table, or you already have too much on the table. You can put about 500 to 600 pounds worth of material onto this Slab AFrame. Okay, or if you're working with smaller tile, the middle crossbar is adjustable, so it allows you to transport smaller tiles or boxes. Now at the bottom, we have front stoppers with rubber protection to avoid tile sliding and sliding off. We have the anti-black rubbers at the face of it, so you don't have to worry about the aluminum scratching your material, even though maybe the back of the material will be up against it. You never know. You might have a guy that puts the pretty side of the tile onto the face of the cart, and you could scratch it. We didn't have that. When you fold the slab A-frame, you'll have these lateral bumpers on the side, so it keep you from damaging walls. It keeps the slab A-frame safe. Here's a side view. It's got two double-sided upper hooks, meaning if you have the slab trans heavy duty, but you don't have the trolley, or you have the slim easy trans with the support bars, you can hang those transporting system onto those hooks, so then you can back butter again, or you can transport from point A to point B. It's got a fixation for folded position, and it's got a big steel plate with the anti-rubber. So again, we're not our tile's not sliding, and we're safe. And if you look at a little triangle to the left, it's got the perfect inclination to avoid possible overturning. Okay, so it's going to guard against the A-frame tipping over, even if we don't have it tied down or strapped in with the strap that comes with it. Now, we designed this slab A-frame to work and fit through doors with the dimensions of 32 inches, as small as 32 inches in the U.S. So you can go through a single door with the slab A-frame. The slab table. The slab table is very important. Okay, with Rubi, with each reference, you get one table. So if you're working with 48 by 48s, and you need a good workstation, one slab table will do. But if you're working with the 4 by 8s or 5 by 10s, then you're going to need to get two. Now, the reason we need a stable surface is if we were to use 6-foot plastic picnic tables, what happens is when we score, our score will bounce over and deflect. So for anyone that's done vinyl cold base out there like I have, second generation, my dad made me learn how to do all-flooring, so I always use this metaphor. If you put vinyl cold base on the wall and you look at the side view from the wall, you notice all the imperfections in the wall, because no wall is plumb straight. So you see all the ins and outs. Well, when we use a 6-foot plastic table, you kind of get the same feature. You won't see it, but you get the deflection and the bouncing. So if you don't get a good score, you're not going to get a good break. Okay, so it's very important that we have a nice sturdy surface and table to work with so we can get to our scoring and cutting. I mean, these pieces average, $1,100 to $1,500 a piece. They're pretty intimidating if you've never worked with them, but using the proper tooling and practicing good, and getting the habit of practicing good habits, it becomes less intimidating. Okay, it just becomes another piece of porcelain tile. Now, the working height on these slab tables are 27.5 inches, basically. It is short out there, and we do that because it works with our slab table on our slab trolley. With our slab trolley, you can put it on its back, just tilt the slab trolley back onto the table, and you can back butter on there. Or if we need to work and cut it, you spin the slab table around and you pull it over front face, release the slab trolley, and now you can work with cutting it, whether we're cutting it dry with our Slim Cutter Plus or cutting it wet with our TC 125. We'll be able to do that with the supported table, and we're not struggling to get that piece on our table with our slab trolley and slab trans heavy duty. How are we going to cut it? Well, Rubi started with the first ever tile cutter in 1951, and basically we have this rail system that's just one big tile cutter. You get this nice little nylon carrying bag, and in it you get 4 rails, 1 roller guide with extreme scoring wheel, 1 slab plier, and 3 suction pads to help hold it down. Now, you don't need to use all four. If you're only using the 48 by 48, then two guides are good. You don't have to assemble the whole four. Basically, extreme scoring wheel is our best wheel for everything, because glass, ceramic, porcelain, textured, rough grooved porcelain, you're not going to have a fail with that extreme scoring wheel using it correctly. How are we going to score? Well, I always tell people, when we first enter our score, we tend not to put enough pressure. And when we finish our score, we tend to ease off the pressure. So what happens is when we go to break it, sometimes it crescents at each end. So to combat that, when I start, I'll jump about an inch, I'll back score. I'll fully score the whole thing using the chicken wing method. Now, I want to hear like I'm ripping a piece of construction paper. And I also want to see with my eyes a nice deep white line. Now, even on white material, you'll be able to see that white line. So if you score it and it looks faint, rescore it. Feel free to rescore. You can never score enough times with this. I mean, you don't want to score too hard where you're chopping. Like I said, it's one continuous score. When you hear like you're ripping a piece of construction paper, and when we finish our score, I'll do what I did when I started. I'll jump back about an inch, and I'll rescore the edge to make sure I got a good clean score. Now with the slab pliers, which are good up to 8 millimeters, I'm going to use that to help break it. Now what I want is one person using the slab breaker and another person in the middle going to catch the middle or going to catch the break that we've broken off. Okay. Now, how we work this is we don't want to go in and shake someone's hand and break their hand. If we do that, we go with that mentality. What we're going to do is we're going to break that tile off, shatter it off. What we want to do is we want to go in there very light with a little bit of pressure and slowly increase pressure until we hear a pop or a click. Once you hear a pop or a click, you're done with one side. You move on to the next side. You repeat the process. Once you have a pop or click on both sides, that means it's broken on both sides. And one thing that could and should happen, the piece will break fully. But it doesn't break fully after you get both pops. Wherever you left off, just slowly keep increasing pressure until the whole piece comes off. Okay. Below that, we have the Slab Breaker Plus. This is good for 8 millimeter to 15 millimeters in thickness. Hopefully, you're not stuck working with 15 millimeters in thickness. It's very heavy, but in case you need to, we have the Slab Breaker to get that broken. Here we just have for your reference what each plier does. The plier works up to 3/8 of an inch. The Slab Breaker works up to 15 millimeters. Now, it is sold separately, but the process with the Slab Breaker is I always tell people over the phone when I try to troubleshoot them, we don't want to spin it too fast. If we spin it too fast, it's going to shatter your piece. What we want to do is we want to turn it slowly. If you've ever seen an old-time movie where they try to break into a safe using nothing but a doctor's stethoscope, what do? They put the stethoscope up to the safe, they spin the dial slowly until you hear a click. That's the same method of operation that we're going to use here. We're going to spin it slowly until we hear a click. Once we hear a click, we go to the other side and repeat the same process. Now, I'll introduce our TC125. This will work on our guides that we have with the Slim Cutter System Plus. This is a way so we can cut wet. It's got a water hose attachment in the back. We can cut dry. That black knob there, it removes, and you can insert your shop vac attachment there so we can do it dry. You can buy the system kit, which includes the 3 suction cups, the 2 fixing clamps, and the carrying bag. And then you buy the TC125 separately. We do that in case people already have the guide already. We're not making you purchase the whole new system if you don't need it. Okay. Now this saw does run on a 4.5. You could also use a 5-inch blade, wet or dry. You could also do a plunge cut. So if you need to make a cut niche, or cut an outlet, or make a cut inside of your tile without having to go through it, you can do a plunge cutting. You could also do bevel cutting. It turns on the side and does do a 45-degree miter cut. The wattage is 1250. And with the guides, it goes up to however long you need to. Now, when we're using this, we want to make sure we have at least 6 inches of slack going into your cut and 6 inches of slack coming out of your cut. If you try to start true, it could move on you and it render the beginning of your cut useless. And when you finish, if you don't have enough slack to go through, again, you could deviate from the line. The blades to use for the slab that we recommend is a VIP. It's a turbo mesh blade. It comes in all different sizes, from 4 inches all the way up to 14. The reason why we recommend this, it's got a thick center to avoid wobbling and vibrations. It's got a diamond formula, so when we use it, it's virtually chip free. And when I mean virtually chip free, if you have chips, give me a call. Okay. It is high speed. It is turbo mesh, so it is faster. But we only recommend this for straight cuts. No miter cutting, no forced plunge cutting. But you can use this wet or dry as well. If you need to make an angle cut or a miter cut or a plunge cut, what I recommend is this 2-in-1 ECE blade. It does come in a 4.5 and 5-inch. It does have a 5-inch adapter. So if you notice, you see it's got electroplated dots on the face of it. What it actually has electroplated dots on both sides. And the adapter, you can switch on to both sides. Or you can remove the adapter completely and fix it onto the TC125 circular saw and use it for that. Now, this is great for cutting, grinding, beveling, and shaping. So you use it on your grinder to help shape and round your cuts, or you can use it on TC125 to get that good clean cut and then or that nice beveled edge. This is the blade I highly recommend. All right, up next we have the drill bits. Okay, we have a dry grass floor grinder with a 5/8-inch arbor. You can use it wet or dry. The sizes are 1/4 inch to 3 inch. Dry grass floor grinder, pretty self-explanatory. It goes on your grinder. Then we got the dry grass floor drill that goes on your drill. Both of these are vacuum brazed drill bits. They both have slots for cooling. The floor drill does have the wax inside to help with the cooling. Below that, we have the Easy Grass floor drill. Again, it's for your drill. Now, when we say for drill, we mean for non-hammer feature drill. So a regular 1/2-inch drill will work. With the Easy Grass floor drill, though, you do need to use water. These are electroplated as opposed to vacuum brazed, and they must be used wet. Now, why are drill bits so important? Because we have to drill a hole at each joint. If we're making fittings for a switch plate, or we're making a niche, or going around a fireplace, or we just need an L-shaped cut, we're gonna need to drill a hole at each joint. Why? There's so much tension built into these slabs. You may not notice it, but there's a lot of tension built in those. So we got to cut through that tension. And drilling a hole at each corner is going to break that tension. So we have an L-shaped cut and we don't drill a hole, what's likely to happen is your piece can shatter. Okay, can you do it without it? Maybe, but why take the risk? Where we want to practice good habits. So make it a good habit to drill a corner in each. To drill a hole in each corner. Now the hole can be no smaller than 3/8 of an inch. It can be bigger than 3/8 of an inch, but it can be no smaller than 3/8 of an inch. So go ahead, drill those holes, and then you can play connected dots either with your grinder, or if you have the TC125, use the TC125 to play connected dots. After we got it set, there could be some lippage. So we have some anti-lippage systems that will work. Here, first up, we have the Delta, which comes in different sizes, 1/32, 1/16, 3/32, 1/8, and 3/16. Now, which grout joint size are we going to use? Well, the NTCA will specify that. 1/16 seems to be the go-to. We don't want to do 1/32. It's way too small. We got this stuff, just like you wouldn't think, it's just like wood. It does still expand and contract. Okay, so one, we must have a grout joint. Two, 1/32 may be too small. 1/16 or 1/8, you'll be okay with. Now our clips are color coordinated. Clear white is 1/16. The red is 1/8. The gray is 1/32. We do have fast fixing pliers to help finish setting your Delta clips and your wedges. Now our wedges and clips are compatible with all the other similar systems out there, but this will help reduce the lippage we get in our tiles. Now, the lippage system is not a shortcut for not leveling your floor. When installing this slab, you need to level up your floor. If you don't level out your floor, you're gonna have hollow spots underneath, and it's gonna lead to cracking and failures. So first, make sure that we have our substrate nice and flat, but this will help reduce the lippage between the two tiles. We also have the Cyclone. No tool required. You just spin these down with your hands. They're large and ergonomic caps, so they don't hurt your fingers. They're reusable, and of course, they're color coordinated as well with the different sizes. Now, how to remove both of these systems? We're gonna come back when it's dry, and we're gonna kick it going with the grout joint, not against it, but with the grout joint. It is compatible with other brands, and we will be coming out with sleeves to put underneath the cap so you don't have to worry about scratching your tile. They do come in different sizes, such as 100 pieces, 300 pieces, or 2,400 pieces, depending on what you need. And if I had to put a number on it, you can reuse these caps at least 25 times. So feel free to use them over and over again. Again, if you go against the grain or against the tile, what's going to happen? One, you're going to chip your tile. Two, you're going to break the clip inside of your grout joint. And three, you can bust your cap. So make sure you kick it with the grout joint and avoid, any failures that you can. Also, when using leveling systems, it is important that we clean the grout joints as we go. A lot of people call me saying, hey, I use your system, but the clips are being broken and left in the grout joint. Well, typically that's done because we let the adhesive dry around our clip. So, like I said, we're practicing good habits. So I used to carry around a little grout brush or a little toothbrush and a sponge and clean the grout joint as I went along, because it's always easier to clean when that stuff is fresh and a lot harder to clean when it's dry. So let's make sure we also clean around the clips on our systems. Here we have the Rubi Mix 9 Super Torque. This is one of my favorite tools. We all got to start somewhere, and typically when we start our tile journey, we're always the ones grouting and mixing cement for the master installer. So we all made ourselves comfortable with the mixing drill. Well, the reason why I like this mixing drill so much, a couple reasons. One, it's got an M14 threaded paddle, so it's going to thread into the machine. It's not going to clamp on like a drill, and where it can easily come off. This is going to be threaded in. It's going to stay in until you remove it. The main purpose that I love this for is the 2 RPM settings that it has. The first setting is 0 to 650 RPMs, and the second setting is 0 to 850 RPMs. Now, when you talk or you listen to the adhesive companies like Mapei, Latticrete, Ardex, Custom, all of them, you have to read their bags to their specifications, to the point of water and to the point of speed. Now, if you're doing SLUs, self-leveling underlayment, it's got 1 speed requirement. If you're doing the adhesive to install your tile, it's got another RPM requirement, and even Grout has a RPM requirement. So always read the back of the adhesive manufacturer's bag and use the specifications. It's there for a purpose, and they want us to mix it correctly. And again, we're practicing good habits. Okay. The Helix paddle is this one here is 4 3/4 inch. What it does and was designed to do is going to take the material from top and it can be dispersed out through the bottom. Now we all done it. We've all made the mistake of mixing and pulling our mixing drill up and down in our bucket, and we'll pull it up, we'll pull it out of the bucket, out of the adhesive, and we're actually doing is adding more air into the adhesive. That's a big no-no. So what this does, it helps that you just take it, go around the perimeter of the bucket, and it's going to ensure that we have a good proper mix for our adhesive. Other installation tools that we need, the tile beating block. When you're setting tile on the wall, we need to get all the air out from underneath, so we're not stuck with any air, so we don't have any hollow points. So it's got a white rubber sheet to prevent marking or damaging the tile. Below that, we have the European trowel. If you look at this picture I have off to the right, you know, trial and error, NTCA. I love that video, trial and error. I send a link to so many people just so they can see. But you know, the swirls on the left, we don't got good coverage. In the middle, we have okay coverage, but we're troweling from the longest point. So if we trowel the shortest distance possible, and we collapse our ridges, we're going to have full proper coverage. Now, when we were back in the day, you know, when 13 by 13s were considered large format, you can use, you know, 1/4 by 3/8 notch trowel, collapse your ridges pretty well. You know, 12 by 24, use a 1/2 inch notch trowel, we can collapse our ridges all right. But 48 by 48s, they don't move so much. They don't move so as easily as the smaller ones would. Imagine a 5 foot by 10 foot. That thing's not going to move at all. So the European trowel is designed for the ridges to collapse with very minimal movement. That's the point of the European trowels, or a slanted trowel, is to help collapse your ridges so you can get that and achieve that 100% coverage. Below that, we have the hand polishing pads. We have 4 grits, 60, 120, 200, and 400. This is to help polish the edge of your tile. Let's say you did a bevel cut and you want to clean it up. We'll start at 60. You can use these wet or dry. I always say wetter is better. It's never going to hurt anything to use water. So I like to dunk my polishing pads in the water, and I like to go down at an angle. I don't want to go up at an angle. I don't want to go straight up. I don't want to rotate, because what happens is when I come up, I can chip the edge of my tile. So down and at an angle is a proper way to do this. I also wouldn't go straight across because we'll create a channel in our hand polishing pads. Other installation tools, we got a Grout Float with replaceable rubber float. Will not mark or scratch your tile. You can use it for sanded or non-sanded. We have the Rubi Clean Kit. Our studies have shown it cuts grinding time down by 50%. You do get 2 columns of rollers, and it does include some sponges. And below that, we have the sponge that comes with it, and the one that people love because it's cross-cut, so it holds a lot of the dirt or holds a lot of the grout in the sponge, and it gets us good cleaning. It allows us to clean a whole lot better with that sponge because all the grout or grime is up there, and then we roll over the counters, it all comes seeping out. We will have new products. We're always, like I said, we're always at the forefront of this. We're always hearing what people are saying to make improvements. So we have the Slim Easy Trans Plus coming out in the second quarter. New Slab Trans Heavy Duty coming out in quarter number 3. A new slab cutter coming out. But one I really want to talk about is the Rubi Gap Closer. This will help if we need to move our gaps in between our 4-foot by 8-foot, 5-foot by 10-foot panels. We can close the gap using this Rubi Gap Closer. For those of you that do more than just tile, like I said, I did commercial carpet and all that. Think of it like a crab stretcher. It's going to close that seam up for you. Okay, so be on the lookout for the gap closer. The trailer, this is a vibrating tool to get the air out and help collapse ridges from underneath when you install it on the floor. Now, we don't want to use the trailer on the edge of our tile because that's the weakest point of the tile and it could cause a break failure there. So we just want to use it in the big meat part of the material. Next to that, we have the Pro Edger. This will take a 5/8-inch grinder, and you can make your own beveled edge. You can make your own bull nose with this if you need to. It's got it's going to have different profiles for it. So be on the lookout for this. These are both coming out towards the end of the year, but both will be a very good tool to have in your arsenal. Now we just went over the ways to cut slab. Now we have other ways to cut slab, and these slab sizes for anything up to 61 inches. I'm not talking about the 4 feet by 8 feet or 5 feet by 10 feet. We have the DC250 Python, 1.5 horsepower, comes with our premium arrowhead blade, and it cuts 38 to, it has 2 sizes, 38-inch and 48 inches. On the right, we have the DCX 1250 and 1550. It's a 2 horsepower saw, comes with a 10-inch blade called the Red Cobra, and it's available on a 49-inch and 61-inch. This one does have an external water tray, and they both come with the C3 Python cooling system. The C3 Python cooling system is, you can move that nozzle down to the point of contact where your blade meets the material, so shooting water exactly where it needs to shoot. Okay. So be on the lookout. So if you need something that works quicker than the TC125, or you don't trust yourself using a big manual tile cutter like the Slim Cutter Plus, we have water saws for that. We also have the DT10 Max. It's already had a soft launch with this, but it'll be fully available in June. And with this DT10 Max, it does do 36 inches out of the box. You will have an accessory that'll come later that you'll be able to take that table off, put a new table on, and rip 50 inches. So if you're not familiar with bridge saws like the previous DCX or the DC, and you like the tabletops, we will have a tabletop that will rip 50 inches. That has been my time. I want to say thank you for being here with us and taking your time out of your day to to learn about some of the products that we have and to learn about how to properly cut, manipulate, and install GPTP and slab.
Hector, great job. Lots of information on how to handle and care for GPTP, gauge porcelain tile and panels. Lots of information about Rubi tools to do that handling and controlling. One, if you want to come back on, we don't have a lot of questions, but got some real nice comments. The first one is excellent description on how to properly score a tile, and thank you. And along with that then, in regards to scoring tile, how do you, a lot of the panels have like a rough back, right? A backing on it, maybe, yeah. And how do you score that? Is there a unique way to score and break that?
So you could use the little circular saw to go through it all. But typically when we have a mesh backing, we can score and snap it. Once we're done snapping it though, we'll take a utility knife and just cut the backing. Just come across and cut the mesh off.
Similar to what you would do on like a cement board, maybe, where you score it, break it, and then you cut the mesh right afterwards. Right. Correct?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So one of NTCA's trainers, our training director, Mark Heinlein, said, great presentation. Lippage control devices are required by ANSI A108.19, the recognized tile industry installation instructions for gauge porcelain tile panels, slabs. Minimum grout joint widths for all tiles are identified by ANSI A108 installation standards. So I think he was just going along with what you said, kind of giving a little more detail to that, so people can see where that is. That was a good comment. Bart, I just deleted your question if you want to retype it in there. So thank you about that. So back to cutting with the surface on the back of the tile. The gentleman said, I'm referring to the surface texture, not the backing. Does the wheel size change with a heavier texture? So a lot of the new gauge panels have more of a texture like stone on it.
Right. Okay, I see where he's going. So we have what's called the extreme scoring wheel, and even just the regular tile cutters, we have recommendations. So like glass will take 6 millimeter, porcelain will take 8 millimeter. In this case, we have a 22 millimeter scoring wheel. And if you think of the letter V, from point to point, it was a lot wider back in the day. Now with the extreme, it's a lot tighter. So when we have thicker material or textured or grooved surface tile, it's going to get into that groove better. So we don't need to change the scoring wheel because the 22 millimeter extreme that comes with the Slim Cutter Plus will work just fine with it.
Okay. So the question Bart had that I deleted, he put it back on here, but he said he may have missed it, but do you recommend a specific saw for the new 2 cm and 3 cm thick porcelain tiles, the pavers that are being used outdoors on pedestal systems and in sand systems, that kind of thing?
So any of our saws can do it, but really with the problem with bridge saws is that they're built for precision. They're not built for fast production. Okay, more like the tabletop that we have, the DT10 inch. That's where you push the saw through. I mean the material through the blade. You can go a little bit faster with that. So a lot of people think it's underpowered because the maximum speed is 3/8 of an inch per second. So if you have a 48-inch piece of 2 cm or 3 cm, it's going to take you about 2 minutes to get through that cut. And time is money in the field. I know that. So people tend to think that 1.5 horsepower is not enough, so they go to the 3 horsepower. The problem with 3 horsepower is it must take 25 amps to run, which is not common on a job site. So with that said, the DT10 inch Max or any bridge saw really, even 1.5 horsepower, will do it. It's just a matter of patience and using the proper blade. So short answer, you can use any of our saws for it. Just go ahead and use our, I don't have the blade shown here, but it's called a thicker blade, and it's made exactly for that special, that 2cm material.
So I think that's a really good statement that you made there, Hector. 2cm, 3cm, very thick. And I think when you're bidding a job, you have to understand that it will take more time to make those cuts. If there's going to be a lot of cuts, that will make a difference in your job bid and how you do it.
Right.
So keep that in mind always, definitely. I do not have any more questions for you, gentlemen. And Juan, you didn't even answer one of those for us. So Hector did a great job, didn't he? He did a good job. I want to thank both of you for being here and presenting. It's nice that you present your tools, but I love the idea of how to handle and how to control the use and movement of all these new products we have. It's really important for our industry. And thank you. I did have one more person that jumped on and said thank you, and I had someone before that that actually said thanks for introducing some of the tools. They're looking forward to using them. So that's great. So guys, thank you. I look forward to seeing you soon at another event. I know you're coming to Minnesota, Hector. Maybe I can see you in the next couple weeks here, and look forward to that. Juan, you take care. And all of you attendees, thank you. I appreciate you being here. We'll have another, I think our next event is on the 17th of May, Tuesday, May 17th, and invites will be coming in a couple weeks. So thanks, everyone. Have a great week. Talk to you all soon. Bye, guys.
All right, thanks. Yep.
Thank you. Bye-bye.